You ever notice that fat chance and slim chance mean the same thing?
What do fish say when they hit a concrete wall? Damn.
Since tomatoes are technically fruit, does that make ketchup jam?
Hold up. It's the Chargers squad. Everything Los Angeles Chargers every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the City of Angels. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Chargers Squad Show, starting now.
What is up? Hello and welcome to the Locked On Chargers midweek squad show from California to Louisville, Kentucky, where it is a comfortable and crisp 28 degrees. I am Pete Fox, covering sports in LA, dating back to 2007 for ESPN LA and NBC Sports Radio, where I worked with Jim Daniels. He's been covering sports in LA since like 01. And Kenyon Barner, 10 years in the league, 3 rings. What is up, guys? Kenyon, as I walk around outside at my buddy's house here in Louisville, take the dog for a walk at 28 degrees, the first thing that popped into my mind is, I don't understand how anybody could play football in that weather. Like getting hit, like when it's below freezing, that had to be absolutely miserable, right?
It's misery. Like I remember some of the cold games that we played. We literally wore a wetsuit vest underneath our pads to try and keep warm. Listen, cold weather. That's not. I know they say it's great football weather. Oh, it's perfect. This is real. No, it's not. Give me 75 and sunny, and it's a great day.
Yeah,
people don't understand how hard the ground gets.
Yeah,
when the land you're in freezes.
Listen, you want to talk about a hit causing a concussion? Hit your head on Green Bay's field when it's frozen. Concussion waiting to happen.
I find that people say every weather is football weather. It doesn't matter. It could be freezing. It could be 100. Look, football weather. It's football weather. Hey, on today's show, we're going to talk about whether the Chargers can back up the Brinks truck, if you will, for Odafe Oweh. If you paid for 9 games and got 8, how would you feel about that? And I have some good news that makes us look kind of bad, although there's an excuse for it. So we'll start with that. We talked the last couple of weeks, we've talked about the Chargers having 1 draft pick, and we all found it on the internet when we searched how many draft picks the Chargers have next year. And we all found 1, and that was the 22nd pick in the first round. And I was talking to my buddy last night about it, and he was like, that's not right. That can't be right. And I'm like, look, we all looked it up a couple times. He's like, that can't be right. So we went and researched it last night, and he was right, and we were all very wrong. The Chargers don't have 1 pick. They have 5 picks. So I don't know what we all found, but it was very off. So here are
first round. It was 1 first round pick.
Yeah, and I got that on ESPN.
Okay, yeah. That's true. But they have 5 picks total. Yeah. So it's the number 22 overall. Then the 55th pick in the second round, and then in the third round, 86th pick. Then in round 4, the 123rd pick. They gave round 5 to Baltimore for Odafe Oweh. And then round 6, pick 202. So through all of that, I'm pretty confident that they should be able to find a center, which we believe they need. Or maybe they trade. My friend brought this up last night, and I'm all, that's a pretty good point, and I wanted to run it by you guys. He's like, you know what would be smart for the Chargers is they got a running back. They need some people. Why don't they trade that first-round pick for more picks? What are you pointing at, KB? Can you not hear me?
No, I'm going with you. Just trading down. That's what I was pointing. Trading down.
Yeah.
But I think it's all about who's available. I mean, yeah, you can obviously go to the well a little bit more when you have more picks. But if you have a guy in that first round slot, hopefully a lineman, i.e., a center that you really like and that you really want, then I think you do it. I'm not against, again, trading down to get more, but if it's somebody there that you want and that you really like and that you think you can make an impact now, I think you go with it.
So it's just really hard to say until you see who's on the board, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's about doing your homework for the draft and knowing what's going to fall where in the first 100 players or so. I mean, if you see a guy that has Joe Alt potential that's going to be within your reach, you can go get that guy.
But you got to take him.
Everybody kind of floating in the same area, then yeah, maybe you do make a move like that.
Yeah, the center or line help obviously high on the list of needs, but the running back is definitely also something that we've talked about and believe the Chargers need to spend time focusing on and get somebody there, and preferably to fit into Mike McDaniel's scheme, somebody who is fast as lightning, like Kenyon Barner fast. Like that's what we need. We need you, dude.
Oh.
What's your 40 speed these days? Can you still get a 4.3?
Definitely not. Definitely not. I can very easily hit 4.5 though. I give you 4.5 all day long.
That's still pretty fast.
Yeah, I can hit 4.5 very easy. Very easy.
When's the last time you ran a 40, Jim, and got timed?
1980.
You started with 19. That's we are.
Yeah, I did it I did it in the early 2000s. Actually, no, I did it it was like around 2020. I was doing PA for a track meet at a high school, and they had the the professional digital timer, and I ran the 40, and he photo finished me and everything, and I think I was at I posted it on Facebook and Instagram. I should go back and look, but I think I was just under 7, like 6'4", 6'5", which I thought was not bad. It was kind of like that's all right for an old white guy.
Yeah, that ain't bad. That's not bad at all.
Yeah. So
I got 4.3 speed from the press box to the hot dog concession area.
Quick.
Well, the Chargers need to find somebody fast. I think that would make Mike McDaniel very, very happy. And with those 5 picks, hopefully they can, get lucky and steal one there in the draft. The draft is. It's not something I pay a ton of attention to, as I've mentioned over the years. Obviously, this year I'll spend a little bit more time looking at it because of the show and whatnot.
Yeah.
But having, like that's a whole science right there, isn't it, Kenyon? Having a team of guys that do their research on players and find hidden gems, right? Because it's not all about the early rounds, because there are plenty of busts in the NFL draft.
Absolutely.
Plenty of gems in later rounds. So how do you do that? Just, pull a lucky one out of the pile and say a prayer and hope that it works out?
I think it's an evaluation of talent, right? Obviously, it's when you get to these later rounds, some of these guys could be earlier round picks, but a lot of this is based on the analytics. It's based on what they look like, speed. It's oftentimes football goes to the wayside when it comes to the draft, which I've never understood. It becomes about how big the guy's hands are, or his reach, or his
shuttle time. Like, what is that shuttle?
Like when are we running a shuttle on the football field? When are we doing that? Why does that matter how fast a guy? I mean, I get going left, right, being able to change direction, but it always puzzles me when you don't draft a guy based off of what you see on the field. I think you can look at that using one particular player, Pons from Indiana. I think that's a dude that's going to get overlooked based on his size and his stature, but it's probably one of the best cornerbacks, if not the best cornerback in this draft class. So it becomes a lot about, the stature, size, and speed. But when you get to these later rounds, these are true football players, and you're drafting them based off of nothing but that. So you could definitely catch something, and hopefully the Chargers have somebody in place that can truly and really evaluate talent, that's really looking at film and what this guy does well on the field and how well he could fit within Mike McDaniel's offensive scheme and within O'Leary's defensive scheme. So hopefully you got some guys that can really digest film, break it down, look at a guy's strength and weaknesses, and pick a guy solely off that, not based off of how fast he is. Because I ran with a guy from Auburn. I don't remember his name, but I think the dude ran damn near a 4.2 at the running back spot. And we got into position skill drills, and it was like, oh, this dude can't play football at all. Why is he here? Why is he in the draft? Why is he at the combine? It was absolutely crazy. Like, you should have seen the faces of the group of running backs when we got to skill work. We kind of looking like, why is he here? He's here because he's fast, but so yeah, hopefully you just got a guy that can evaluate talent.
Yeah, I always look at that, Jim, and I go, I admire ththose people that are able to do that. I know football, but I don't have the ability to evaluate talent unless it just jumps off the page. But then I go, I watch a particular game and a particular player, and I'm like, well, today that guy is balling out, like he's playing. but is he the real deal? Can he do it at the
Right.
next level? You know,
And wide receiver talent, running back talent, that stuff jumps off the page. That's what we and especially the fans are really focused on. What we need now is the eyes that are going to find us the Joe Alts of the world. I keep using him as an example. I know that he's, that anybody would jump at somebody like that. But I mean, now more than ever, because we've got lots of talented guys on this team at the skill positions. We've got like an embarrassment of riches at tight end and what we want to do there. And we've got, interesting wide receiver stuff as to what maybe gets brought in or what maybe they hold on to. I mean, now more than ever is the time for them to make sure that the offensive and the defensive line are getting the absolute best talent out there available, because that's going to be the difference maker going forward this year.
Yeah, I can't express enough how much I want the Chargers to have the least sexy draft ever. Just the most boring.
I like it.
No skill players. Like
from a fan perspective, anyway, I don't know wide receivers or anything like that. It's got to be. Herbie was annihilated, was mauled last year. He's got to be in the other end of that spectrum instead of the most sacked guy and harassed guy in the NFL. He's got to be up there in at least the top 10% of least harassed and sacked guys up there. If that happens, this is a playoff team that's going to mess people up.
Yeah, not only that, you got to get some guys. You got to get somebody to pair alongside Tier. You got to get another defensive tackle. You got to get someone who can help be stout in that run game, that can secure up the middle and help these guys kind of funnel things and hopefully secure these edges as well. Khalil got to be better on the edge. If it's Oweh, he has to be better on the edge, because that's where we suffered a lot this season. And when it came to the run game, was getting out to the edges. So if you can secure up the trenches, this team will be dangerous.
Yeah, Anarchy agrees with us, saying he wants offensive and defensive linemen because we have Hampton and Vidal. I think Hampton's going to be great, and I'm okay keeping Vidal around, but I want another running back. And he thinks we need another tight end. So he disagrees with you, Jim, a little bit about the embarrassment of riches at tight ends, but I think we've got enough there as well.
Well, that's what the conversation we had last week about Pitts, right? I mean, that's. Yeah. If that is the case and that's truly where they're looking, to make a splash, then you do get an upgrade at tight end.
Yeah, that would be a huge coup if they could figure out a way to get him on the roster. Another guy that they need to find some money for, Adafi Oweh. We're going to talk about that coming up after the break. It's Pete Fox, the Locked On Chargers Squad Show, along with Kenyon Barner and Jim Daniels. We do this twice a week during the offseason. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out Daniel and David Monday through Friday. I watched part of one of their shows this week. We'll talk about what they saw and learned from the O'Leary press conference. He had some very interesting things to say, but first we're going to talk about Odafe Oweh after the break on the Locked On Chargers Squad Show. All right, today's episode of the Locked On Chargers Squad Show brought to you by TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life this year. TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off, and move on with your day. With TurboTax service, their full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert from start to finish without the stress or the guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out how all these forms work and what information has to go on those forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person and connect online. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off of your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. Today's episode also brought to you by Betterment. February can be a lot. Flowers, candy, stuffed animals, and so much talk about relationships. And it honestly feels like everyone else has it all together in their love life and maybe you don't, well, TurboTax can make you feel better about yourself, as Betterment can as well. So if you get your taxes done and you speak to the fine folks at Betterment, your life will be perfect. But the truth, it can be hard to get to sometimes, and that's where TurboTax, I don't keep saying TurboTax, Betterment comes in very, very helpful and handy. I've used Betterment a few times, and it's been very helpful for me, kind of help you figure out things that are troublesome in your life, hurdles, if you will, that are causing you issues. They help you kind of work through these troubling times that maybe other people don't understand. Like you call a buddy, and they might be like, dude, I don't know what to tell you. Talk to an expert. Well, that's where BetterHelp would come in handy. It's easy to assume everyone has the perfect relationship, but most people are working through something, and that's where BetterHelp can help you. BetterHelp has licensed therapists in the US, and they do the initial matching work for you so you can focus on your goals. Now, this is matching you with a therapist, not a lover. And if you want to switch therapists, you can do that at any time. So sign up for the 10% off at betterhelp.com/lockedon. That's BETTERHELP.com/lockedon. Sometimes finding a therapist is harder than finding a relationship that works out for you. So yeah, the other thing cool about BetterHelp that I didn't get to mention because I got lost there, but the online thing is a lot of people think it's weird, and it's not. It's uncomfortable. It's just like sitting there in person with somebody, just like us sitting here. I'm in Kentucky, these guys are in California, and we feel like we're just all together hanging out. Yeah. So we love technology here. Adafi Oweh is gonna love to see his bank account after. This offseason is complete. I was doing some comparisons and what we think Odafe Oweh will need to remain as a Charger, and by all accounts, O'Leary wants to keep him around and is going to lean on the Chargers front office to say, hey, let's give this guy whatever the heck he wants. And by all accounts, that's around $19 million a year for a 3 to 4 year deal worth a little over $50 million. So the question becomes, will the Chargers go for that? Will they think that that is worthwhile for a guy who's had 10 plus sacks over the last couple of years? If you want to look at comps in the league, Greg Russo of the Bills, George Karlaftis of the Chiefs, Jalen Phillips of the Dolphins, and Daniel Hunter of the Texans. Guys that are kind of paid in that same realm. And to me, it feels like he's every bit as good as those guys, maybe better than some of them. But, is that a number that to you rather, feels palatable, Kenyon? Will the Chargers look at that around $20 million a year and go, yeah, we can do that? Or will that be a number that you think could scare them off?
That's a heavy bag. That's a heavy bag, and that's a heavy price. And I think you have to look at who else is up contractually. Who else are you looking at, and who you need to bring back? What pieces are important? And so, if I am first-year coordinator in O'Leary and I do want him back as a GM, I have to listen to that. I have to really sit and think about that, and hopefully we could work something out to where I don't have to give him 19. Maybe I can give him 17 and a half. Maybe I can, something, be able to negotiate, but give him something that would keep him happy enough to stay in Los Angeles. Is he worth it? Absolutely. The dude played in 12 games, has 7.5 sacks. You go back to week six, his first game in a Chargers uniform, and he makes a splash, makes a play, gets in there, gets a sack right out the gate. So he's something that this team absolutely need. We've seen his ability. We've seen his length. We've seen the speed. We've seen the power. We've seen him get to the quarterback. We've seen him be a pass disruptor, like O'Leary has talked about being ball disruptor. So he's absolutely worth it. That's a heavy price.
Now, everything that KB said, I just want to add to this. How much is continuity worth? And this may be what O'Leary is talking about when he comes in there saying, look, this might be a little bit pricey, might be a little bit more than we want to spend on this, but how much is the continuity of this defense? How important is that? How important is he to that quotient in this defense? Because because they're in the trenches, and I mean this in another sense, where they're in practice with these guys every day. They see how they hang out. Are they buds? Are they working together? How much is that worth versus bringing in a free agent, who may or may not be a good fit? I think that has to be a factor. And then, of course, you always have to throw in there what's out there. You said KB was leaning more about who's up, whose contract is available, alluding to maybe you want someone that's got some experience. Maybe there's somebody, that's coming out in the draft that you think would fill that position, that you think is absolutely ferocious and you want to go for. But the first thing that comes to my mind is continuity. I want this defense to play as well or better than they did last year. And if that a dollar amount helps that whole thing pay better, then I'm up for that.
you use the word, we talked about this last week as well. We used the word, and I think I said it at the end of the episode, I think the word for the offseason is continuity, because you hear everybody talking about that. And so when you talk about that, I want to add this to what you just said, Jim. It's not always the best team that wins. Oftentimes it's the most together team. It's the most together units. It's the most team that has the most camaraderie. It's really about personalities linking with each other, guys being around each other. I'll continue to give my experience with the 2017 Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl team. That was the most together team I've ever been a part of, and we were not the best teams on a lot of days, but we were the most together. We were the most together units. There was no finger pointing. Everybody was for each other. Everybody wanted everybody to succeed and do well. And so, to your point, I think that's a great point that you made. How much are you willing to pay for continuity? How much are you willing to pay for a guy that fits the fold, that fits the team, that fits the group, and the group fits the guy? And I think that's kind of priceless, if you ask me.
Yeah, you hear this term a lot in sports when it comes to contract negotiation for players, the hometown discount. Do we feel Oweh being a Charger for, half, two-thirds of a season, would he offer them some sort of hometown discount to stay with this squad because of the excitement that is surrounding the team right now with a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator, a solid quarterback, and definitely, there's some hype right now going on with this Charger team. Would Oweh be like, yeah, I want to do whatever it takes to be here? Or he's like, this is what I'm worth, pay me this, or I'll find someone else to do it.
He owes the Chargers nothing. And you know what I'm saying? He's not a long-term guy that's been here years and years and years and been a part of this organization. This is a guy that you traded for. This is a guy that came in. He owes this organization absolutely nothing. And at the end of the day, me being a player, I know how important it is for a guy to get paid, because nothing is guaranteed in this league. And not another play, another snap, another day. Anything can happen. So you want to be able to secure your future. So could he do it if he loves the team, the organization, if he's all for that? You know what I'm saying? Then yeah, okay, I'll work with you. Work with me out, or we figure this out in a signing bonus. You know what I'm saying? To where I don't continually affect the books or continually affect the cap. Maybe I get a bulk of money in the signing bonus that makes me happy, to where I take a lower annual salary. So there's many ways, and if you're Ortiz, that you can figure and work this thing out. But going back to what we were talking about a little second ago, when I said we don't know who's up contractually, I'm talking about within the organization, not necessarily outside. Oh, okay. So when you look at who the Chargers do have as free agents, you have Deshaun Hand, who I think is a guy that you want back. You have Tony Jefferson. You have Khalil Mack. Oh, you have Perryman, you have Trey Pipkins, you have Jamari Sawyer, you have Benjamin St. Juste. You have some guys that are up contractually. And so this is the hard part about being a GM. What guys do I want back and what guys do I need back? And so this is, again, you pay that 19 mil, that cap comes down a whole lot. But listen, I'm a fan of Young Dolph. Get paid, little homie, get paid, okay?
Yeah, Anarchy making some good points again today. He says maybe 11 million. He's 2025's Poona Ford, who we know left to go to the Rams. It's a fair point. I don't know if 11 million. He's kind of comparing him to Khalil Mack, who got 18 million, and he says Oweh is not worth 18.
No, it's not. Not that. Not if you're putting him in the light of Khalil Mack. No, he's not that. So that's good. Who made that point?
Anarchy.
Yeah. So I don't know what his price point. Maybe I could pull that up and figure out what is it? Sports Tech, where you go and look at guys' contracts and figure out their comparisons. But 19 million is a lot of dollars. It's a lot of dollars and cents.
Especially when you got a cheap ass owner. I don't know. It seems like it's interesting to me from the standpoint, like if you took O'Leary out of this, I would say there's no chance in hell that the Chargers are going to spend that on him. Like, nothing against him. He could probably get it somewhere else. I just don't feel like they're going to dig deep to pay Adafi Oweh, right?
O'Leary might have gone in there and said, I'll take the job if he's in.
Right.
Now we applying pressure.
Yeah, exactly. So that other story that came up, which kind of leads to, how cheap the Chargers are and the way they do business. we can talk about after the break. And then we'll wrap up with the comments from the press conference from O'Leary. It's the Locked On Chargers Squad Show on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel. Don't forget Daniel and David Monday through Friday with the Locked On Chargers Daily Podcast. All right, today's episode of the Locked On Chargers Squad Show is brought to you by Home Chef. As the new year gets going, a lot of people are trying to simplify their routines, and dinner is a big one. Between busy work days, cold winter nights, and packed schedules, driving the kids to football practice and volleyball practice and all that, reliable dinner plans make a huge difference. That's where Home Chef comes in. Home Chef takes the stress out of cooking by delivering fresh, pre-portioned ingredients right to your door with easy-to-follow recipes that actually taste great. They're rated #1 by users on other meal kits, and better quality, convenience, value, taste, and recipes that are easy to use. It's an easy way to have dinner, and it's easy to see why they are so popular. Meals come ready, fit to your schedule, 30-minute recipes or oven-ready trays, and quick lunches. For a limited time, Home Chef is offering listeners 50% off your first box, free shipping, and free dessert for life. Just go to homechef.com/lockedon. It's homechef.com/lockedon. 50% off your first box, free shipping, and free dessert for life. Must be an active subscriber to receive that free dessert. Okay, that's not the one I need. Hold on a second. We'll be back. Well, I'll get you guys back on the screen here in just a minute. Where'd it go? There it is.
There we go.
No, that's not it either. Here it is. Yeah. I'm on a smaller computer today, and all my buttons are in different places. It's the Locked On Chargers Squad Show on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel. So this story came out. I want to give credit to where I read the story. I think it was boltbeat.com. This past year, 2027, what the hell? Is that all messed up for you guys?
No.
Does it look normal to you?
Looks okay to me.
Really? Okay, cool. I can barely see anything. The Chargers season ticket holders paid for their normal 9 games. And the way it works, I guess, basically, is you pay the same price for every game for your 9 home games. Well, that Brazil game was considered a Chargers home game. So if you're a Chargers season ticket holder, you paid for 9 games, but only got 8 because most people were not jumping on a plane to Sao Paulo to watch that game, right? Yeah. And then the story comes out a few weeks, month later, that the New Orleans Saints are playing in France this coming year, and they went out right away and said, nope, you don't have to pay for 9 games, you're paying for 8 games. So needless to say, Charger fans are ticked off, especially the ones that are season ticket holders, and they have filed a class action lawsuit against Team Spanos and the team to get their money back. And kind of like rightfully so. I mean, that seems like the short end of the stick. That's a bitter pill to swallow because it's not cheap, especially when you break the percentage down per game when you're paying for 9 games but only getting 8. So yeah, that was a situation where the Spanos ownership group was kind of like, I don't know what they had. As far as I can tell, they've made no comments or reactions to how they're responding to this, but at the end of the day, it's not a good look, right?
Not a good look. No, it's a terrible look. It's an awful look, especially for another organization to come right out and say, hey, don't worry about that 9th game. Listen, this adds to the narrative of the Charger fan base being as fair weather as they are, right? If you're an organization and you don't take care of your fan base, then what loyalty do I have to you? Why do I need to show up for you? You don't care about us as a fan base. And so do right by them. You knew this last season. You knew what it was. You make them pay for 8. Refund I'm sure you made a boatload of money this season. Giving those season ticket holders that one single game, giving them that money back for that game, that's not going to affect your bottom line. You're going to be doing just fine. You've been an organization and been well off for a very, 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 very long time. Do right by your fan base, and your fan base will do right by you.
And you know what? that falls on deaf ears, because this is the owner that decided, I'm going to take this team away from its beloved community and move them up the 5 freeway so I can do what? Make
more money.
And then you rob your season ticket holders. Yeah, you wonder about why people feel the way they do about the Chargers. Got everything in the world to do with the owner. It trickles down from the top. I mean, I don't want to get into name calling and all that kind of stuff, because that's a waste of my energy. I don't think about it. But, billionaires are billionaires. This is how they get to be billionaires, is they take your money and keep theirs. And, the fact that they're doing this, just a bad look. I mean, just, Spanos, you don't look good, bro. It's not a good look for you. But you know what? He don't care what he looks like to us.
No. Yeah. At least come out and acknowledge something. Like you said, nothing. Come out publicly and acknowledge something. Acknowledge the frustration of the people that fill your pockets. Like, these are the people that put the money in your pocket. Come out and say something. You give them a crumb. Listen, if you don't want to go full refund, go partial. Go a some sort of give them some sort of future benefit. Give the fan base something. You know what I'm saying? But to just completely be silent about it, knowing what's going on, and listen, nothing is cheap in Los Angeles. For those of you who do not live in the city of Los Angeles, nothing is cheap here. Los Angeles is one of the most expensive cities to live in, probably in the world. Okay. So to live here, then to have spent money on something that you never got, nobody wants to do that, especially in the climate and day and age that we live in today. Inflation is real. Give the people their money back. Look out for your fan base.
Yeah, it took the tickets up like 38% or something. I was like, wow, that's crazy. And
surprise.
Yeah, and it's funny that in the story, of course, it also had to reference the fact that, the Chargers left San Diego because the Spanos family didn't want to spend on a new stadium, right? Now, I was working in San Diego during that whole thing when they left, and it was obviously a huge story down in San Diego, and everyone had to pick sides. You really did. And I kind of sided with the Chargers a little bit, right? Because they tried to get a new stadium built there. And every time they would put something on the ballot to help fund this stadium, it got voted down.
Say it right, to get the community to pay for it. Say it right, Pete. To get
hold
it on the ballot, to get the people who buy the tickets to pay for that. Just stop it already. Stop it. You go out and you sign Nike or Humble Oil or whoever you want. You get somebody else to pay for that. The world is loaded with billionaires. SoFi Stadium, bro. Go out and get a stadium sponsor. The people aren't supposed to pay for the damn house.
Hold on. That's not completely
go back to
true.
San Diego.
Hold on. That is not completely true, Jim. The fact of the matter is, the last ballot measure was to add a percentage to the hotel tax. They were going to charge the visitors to San Diego, who don't give two rips about paying an extra percent.
Now you ain't Las Vegas, San Diego. No.
So they could have figured out a way. Now, also, look it
up in the dictionary, Alex. Sponsor.
Here's the thing. The funny part about this to me is that it's still a hot topic, and they've been out of San Diego for 5 years. That is crazy, right?
5 whole years.
We're still talking about it. It hasn't really blown over yet. Maybe it's more. When did they leave? 18, 19? I don't even know.
2017.
Oh, that's right, because they played at
We're playing at the Home Depot Center. Home Depot Center.
So, I'm waiting for the next Steve Ballmer to come along and say, I've got $20 billion. I don't care about sponsorships. We're going back to San Diego. You mark my words, that's going to happen.
I think that it could happen, right? But it was definitely a situation where it was hard to pick a side, because you could argue for both sides. Like, I don't want to pay more taxes to build a stadium, but at the same time, Spanos wasn't in a hurry to leave. He kept trying to find a way to get the stadium built, and he couldn't do it. And believe it or not, Kenyani, you can back me up on this, because I know you're not a billionaire, but you're worth more than Jim and I are combined. All billionaires are not created equally. They all have different levels of money. Just because you're a billionaire doesn't mean you have 10 billion or 6 billion. Spanos is like creeping towards the 1 billion. And granted, that's a lot of money for those of you. Right, he's not Stan Kroenke. And even though a billion is 1,000 millions, it's they're not all created equally. So for him to say, I'm just going to build my own stadium at $2 billion, he couldn't do it. So the fact is that they left to go to LA to make more money, and it wasn't a popular decision. And here they are with another unpopular decision. It kind of just feels like to me like they don't give a two S's about how unpopular they are, right?
Bingo. This is a billionaire business. I'm here to make money. I don't care what you think, you stupid fans. I'm going to charge you $500 for a jersey when you walk into the shop. He doesn't care. They don't care. They're not in the business of caring. They're in business about trying to put something out on the field that we fall in love with, that we can't get enough of. And so we throw, all of our love and attention and support at. I mean, it's a real one-way street with NFL owners. It really is.
Well, which comes back to Odafe Oweh. Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Yes.
Pay that man his money.
Football teams are expensive. Here's a bulletin. Football teams are expensive. Good ones are even more expensive.
Fully verified. Fully verified.
All right. Any final thoughts on that topic, Kenyon?
I think y'all handled that very well. I was going to sit back and let JD just cook.
Are we going to talk about Belichick today for a minute?
We can if you want. After the break, we're going to talk about Chris O'Leary in his press conference and what he said. And David and Daniel had some comments on that. We'll talk about that after this. It's the Locked On Chargers Squad Show on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel. All right, finally, today's episode of the Locked On Chargers Squad Show is brought to you by Gusto. Let's be real. No one starts a business for the joy of calculating tax withholdings or managing payroll spreadsheets. That's where Gusto comes in to take the stress out of payroll, benefits, and HR so you can focus on what's important, running your business, and figuring out, how to support it with Canva on Instagram. Gusto is the all-in-one report-friendly payroll and HR platform that makes managing your team simple, transparent, and fast. Whether you're hiring, onboarding, or paying employees, Gusto helps you do it all from one place without the hassle of hidden fees. Unlimited payroll runs for one monthly price, which means no surprise charges at the end of the month. Try Gusto today at gusto.com, or maybe it's gusto.com, GUSTO/LockedOnNFL, and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's right, 3 months free at gusto.com, GUSTO/LockedOnNFL. One more time, that's gusto.com/LockedOnNFL. All right, it's the Locked On Chargers Squad Show on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel. Chris O'Leary's press conference. I didn't watch it, but I watched Daniel and David talk about it on the Locked On Daily Chargers podcast, and they had some very interesting thoughts. And David read some kind of interesting quotes that made me feel like Chris O'Leary is no joke. This dude's a real deal.
No joke at all.
Business, and he's sounds like a very intelligent man about football.
Very.
Here's what he said. He talked about these things called separators, i.e. what separates the Chargers defense from other defenses. And these are the 5 key factors that he identified the Charger defense needs to not just be good at, but be very good at and be regular with, and have these things be a part of their defensive identity. Number 1, ball disruption. And I'm like, okay, what in the hell is ball disruption? And I'm like, knocking down passes, or freeing
interceptions.
Freeing the runner from the ball, etc. I'm like, okay, yeah, the Chargers were very good at that last year. One thing that they got to keep doing, because he spent a lot of time. The other thing that we talked about at the start of today's show, that he talked about a lot. He used the word continuity a lot. He wants to keep going what Jesse Minter put together and make it better. Just build on it. That's his goal. Number 2, tackling. And I was like, I feel like the Chargers were pretty good at tackling, but there were times when we got frustrated.
Moments.
Yeah, there were some times we got frustrated about that. Number 3, effort and angles. Tell me about effort and angles, KB.
Effort for me is attacking the ball as an entire unit. When I was in college, Chip Kelly when that ball was snapped and that ball carrier got it, he just didn't want the secondary, your DBs and your safeties and linebackers. He wanted 11 men running to the ball carrier. For just in case a ball pops out, you have guys there to make a play. If a guy breaks a tackle, you have guys there to make the play. So when you talk about getting to the ball, it's about 11 guys, the unit attacking the ball, running to the ball, chasing the ball, being in pursuit at all times.
And I see that as a coach saying that we need to coach that. One of the things we need to coach is angles, because one of the things that changes from college to the pros, and KB will agree with this, anybody that played will agree with this, is the speed of the game. And so, you trying to get from A to B and you have to cut him off. Well, you have to take a different angle now to get that guy
right angle.
He used to, because he's going to get to that point a lot quicker than the guys did in college. So these guys have to teach them, they have to learn how to adjust these angles, because the ball gets there faster, the man gets there faster, everything faster. So, I mean, you've got to be able to play to that. I like the continuity thing too. Same thing that came out of my mouth, but I mean, yeah, that's that. I love the angles thing. I love that. That's a coaching thing right off the bat.
Yeah, that sounds like to me like working smarter, not harder. Like have a better
Absolutely.
angle, right?
Exactly.
I tell my daughter that in volleyball all the time. I'm like, have a better angle of the ball. It just makes it easier on you.
Yeah.
And another thing I talked to her about, and that he talked about for his defense, was communication. They got to have good communication. And obviously, you have to have good communication in sports. You have to have a good communication. Communication is the key to life, if you ask me.
Key to life.
So,
especially in the secondary, man, safeties and corners, man, those guys got to talk. How many times have we seen in all of the playoffs, people just get absolutely cooked in the corner of the end zone by Jackson Smith and Jigba, somebody that should not ever be open from the time he gets off the bus, and he winds over in the corner of the end zone all by himself. I mean, that's communication right there. That's understanding what you're trying to run.
Yeah, and communication. For football, your communication it has to take place pre-snap, because if you're trying to communicate in the middle of a play, it's too late. It's over when you're beat. You're dead in the water. So it's about pre-snap alignments. It's about being able to communicate through motions and shifts. It's about being able to communicate to a 3-man surface versus a 2-man surface. It's about being able to communicate with a receiver being in a different location or a different spot being stacked. Okay, you take first guy, I take second guy. Hey, I need you to get up there and press the point to make my job easier. So pre-snap communication, again, communication throughout everything we talk about. Life is your key to success, but definitely if we don't effectively communicate on the field before the snap happens, we're dead in the water and we're beaten. We've seen far too many plays this season alone where we had guys wide the heck open in the end zone deep. Just the Texans game is a prime example of that. Those first couple of games where you're like, well, who is God guarding him? Who's guarding him? What are we doing? You know what I'm saying? So I was very happy to hear. As I was sitting in traffic from dropping Poppy off, I sat and I listened to his presser, and I was very, very, very. I don't know if you're done going over.
One more thing that he brought up.
Go ahead. We'll get into it. Go ahead.
Block disruption. Now, I can kind of surmise what block disruption is from a defense, but how do you get better at that? Like, how do you improve on block disruption? That was a term that I'm not super familiar with as far as a defensive tactic. What is block disruption? Just evading the block, getting off of the block?
So for me, it's being able to use your hands better, shocking the offensive player, being able to get off blocks, setting the edge. All right, we got dominated on the edge in the run game, as we talked about a little bit ago. Our edge players being able to set the edge and keeping everything inside of them. That's what you're talking about when you're talking about block disruption. Being able to go ahead.
Let me add to this that, you know what, the offensive linemen have an agenda. They have something that they want to do. And you need to be able to recognize, in those pre-snap situations, what you think they're going to do so that you can blow up or disrupt what it is that they want to try and accomplish as far as a blocking scheme, so that they can get their RPO out to the side, or they can get their guy into the A gap, or whatever it is that they're trying to do. You want to try and blow up or disrupt what they're trying to do. So how can you accomplish that?
Yeah, you got to be able to shed blocks quicker. We need that as a defense, especially from our interior linemen. Listen, you aren't married to these guys. We aren't holding hands. We aren't going for long walks on the beach. We aren't doing none of that. I need you to shock and get off, being able to make the play, get in the gap, be able to be disruptive as a interior defensive lineman.
They just need to get better at this, KB. Well, hold on. The rip move. That's all you got to do, right?
Ripping through.
That's how you get through. Is just rip that offensive lineman, man.
Rip through.
Makes guys just disappear.
Yeah.
If I ever played on the defensive line, which I never played football, so other than down at the park on Christmas Day and New Year's Day, That's the only move I know as a defenseman. Just rip that
The
defender.
rip through. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna wrap up today's show with a quick quiz. One question quiz. Let's see how you guys do.
Before we do that,
Yes.
I want to
ahead.
get into a couple things from his presser
Okay.
that impressed me about him. I think he's going to be O'Leary. I think he's going to be one hell of a coach. One thing that stood out to me was he talked about he adjusts his coaching to the player. He was talking about Derwin James, and then we was talking about Molden, Elijah.
Yeah.
And what he said was, I said, you have a house, right? You build your house, but sometimes you have to remodel it. And so what he was saying was, based on who I'm working with, I look at their strengths and I look at their weaknesses and how they learn, and I tailor my coaching to them. And I think that makes a great coach. Because a lot of coaches are stuck, they all saying you can't teach an old dog new tricks. When you're a coach that can change what you do to benefit the players that are on the field running your system, I think that helps you out tremendously. He was talking about clarity. And for me as a player, I had the best season of my career when I understood exactly what my role was, exactly what my coach wanted from me, exactly what the head coach wanted, position coach and offensive. When I had a clear understanding of what they wanted from me, I was a first Pro Bowl alternate, first time in my career, right on the fringe. I was right there. And so for hearing him talk about these things, I'm like, damn, this is going to be great for this team. He talked about constant demand and always revolving. And that takes me back to my New England Patriot days, where with Bill Belichick, there was a constant demand. Constant. Every day you knew what the demand was, and the demand was for you to be great. The demand was going to be to pull out of you what you did not know you had in yourself. And I hear that in O'Leary as he's talking. I love this hire. I wasn't too sure who he was at first, but listening to him talk, listening to what he has to say about these players, I think we should be very excited about where this defense is headed. And then also I went back and watched Mike McDaniel's presser as well, and I was impressed with him. I think the Chargers got it right, both offensively and defensively. I think the Chargers hit the nail on the head, and I think Harbaugh did a hell of a job of recruiting the guys that he wanted. I think Jesse Minter played a huge part in O'Leary coming here. I love this. We talked about having the experience as a play caller, and O'Leary kind of hit on that as well. Him going away to Kalamazoo gave him some experience and gave him that wisdom and allowed him to figure out, okay, how the hell do I do this? How do I adjust? How do I adapt? He talked about his first game versus Michigan State, I think it was. They gave up 3 consecutive touchdowns. It was like, okay, well, this isn't going the way I thought it was. You know what I'm saying? So being able to get that experience, and then not only that, but you talked about it, Pete, when he first got hired. The players' reaction to O'Leary being the guy says a lot about O'Leary. And so I'm excited. I think this is going to be absolutely a marriage made in heaven.
Well, it's definitely getting rave reviews. That's good. So, the people that are reacting to it have nothing but positive things to say, which you like to see, right? You like to not have to figure out a way to justify it in your mind that they did the right thing. Seems like it's obvious. What did you want to say about Belichick, Jim?
Before we go to Bill, can I go back to O'Leary one more time?
Go ahead.
And then I'll jump off the O'Leary. The biggest piece of this presser was how in tune he was, even though he was away at Kalamazoo, how in tune he was to the Chargers defense throughout the Chargers season.
Yeah, he said that.
He talked about every Wednesday he would break down the Chargers tape. He would change the terminology to what he was using with his guys. And Thursday and Friday, he was going over what the Chargers were doing. So we aren't getting a guy who doesn't know what's going on. We aren't getting a guy who wasn't watching film. This guy said that he was sending novels to Jesse Minter after their games on Sundays. So this is a dude that really, if based on what he was saying, he had one foot in Kalamazoo and another foot with the Chargers.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Midwest
you know
Chargers.
Exactly. So again, you're getting a guy who's very in tune with this defense. You're getting a guy who seen what we did well, who's seen what we didn't do well, who's seen where he's seen it all, and he was paying attention. And so what we're getting in return for Jesse Minter leaving is a guy that's bought in already before he was here, a guy that knows the personnel, and a guy who knows this system, and talked about not changing what we have currently in place, but adding to it. So again, I think Harbaugh hit the nail right on the head with everybody.
Seems like they've had this in mind all along, like before he even went there. It's like, we're going to go do this, and then we're going to bring you back because we're going to lose him if it works. So yeah, I think this is all to plan.
Yeah.
Well, he said he was like not necessarily thinking about the job, that he decided to throw his hat in the ring and quote apply for the job. I'm like, well, did you go to Indeed.com? Like, what did you do?
I think he hit Jesse Minter. Hey, tell Harbaugh I'm ready.
All right. So what's up with Belichick?
Well, the whole snub thing. I mean, we work with a guy sitting in between us that might have something to say about that. I know the stain. Bill Polian has been the one apparently that has tried to raise the stain about Spygate, or to at least put a little bit of doubt. But the thing that I wanted to say is that we're not talking to a jury here. These people that have the vote, and they should have it taken away from them. But these people that have the vote, it's not a jury. We're not going to present a case, and if you can find reasonable doubt, then you don't give that person that first ballot Hall of Fame. The first ballot Hall of Fame thing should be something rare, and for people who have done extraordinary things. Whether you think the Patriots filmed the Rams practice in a Super Bowl week or not cannot overshadow what the man Bill Belichick has done as a football coach over his lifetime, and what the resume has produced at the end of that. I mean, this should be the last straw for this panel of people that vote for this. It needs to be taken away from them. They get to decide who we vote on, and then they give it to the fans.
This is what it boiled down to for me real quick, because we talked about this last week, and I was kind of like, it seems ridiculous, but he'll get in at some point. But I think what this boils down to, Jim, is that the media has had to deal with his shenanigans for so long.
That's their job.
His one answer questions for years and years and years, is frustrating to those guys. So, and this is their way of paying him back.
Something?
Yeah, but that's bullshit. And I don't know if I can say that. If I can, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
That's absolutely. We got to be adults, right? When you're in these positions, you got to be an adult. Put your personal feelings to the side. And I went on my long rant last week about Bill and not getting in. If you're holding a grudge because a guy didn't answer a question, I say this to everybody, my kids, everybody. When they ask me a question, I give them an answer, and they don't like my answer, they have a problem. I say, or you didn't answer my question. No, I answered your question. You just didn't like the answer that I gave. Yep. The answer that I gave didn't fit what you expected it to be. If you're holding a grudge versus an individual because of how he does not or will not or refuses to answer a question, you don't need to be doing the job that you're doing. Yeah. Like, listen, this is, and me being a media member, right? Out being on the other side, being a player, and now being in the media. Listen, Dan Lanning treats me one way as Kenyon Barner, the ex Hall of Famer from Oregon, versus Kenyon Barner, who works for the Big Ten Network. It's two completely different, but I don't hold a grudge versus Dan because of how he handles me as a media member. That's just immature to me. I can keep going. I'm going to digress. I think if I'm to take this a little bit further, I've never understood when it comes to voting committees. I understand fans having some say so, right? They're paying for these tickets. They should have some. Why aren't players and coaches involved in the voting process? I just don't understand that. I'm very confused why it's strictly and solely based off of media when we know media can be biased. I don't understand that. You're playing with legacy here, right? And I understand Deflategate, Spygate, whatever gate it was. Okay, I understand and how that could have put a chink in the armor and kind of mess with your legacy. I get that. I understand that. But put these legacies in the hands of individuals who have done it, who've been on that side, who know what it's like, who know the time and the energy and the effort that it takes to become great at the craft. Like we have to do something about that. And I think that's all across the board on all sports.
Well,
and then go ahead.
Let me pile on here. This thing was designed many years ago, way before the internet, when you relied on these beat writers in Pittsburgh and Cleveland and Miami to tell you what's going on there. We don't need that anymore. Guess what? We don't need you sports writers anymore to decide who's the best player in Miami or Pittsburgh or Los Angeles or Seattle. Your time, just like the blacksmith in town, we don't need you anymore.
Yeah, it's I think and I think the Patriots trio is in jeopardy here. Kraft didn't get in. And so if I'm Tom Brady, I'm starting to wonder. I'm starting to question.
Yeah, but
you're saying come on, but listen, who in a million years would have said Bill Belichick wouldn't have been a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Well, politics. I mean, I'm not shocked. I'm disappointed. I'm disgusted.
I'm shocked.
I'm not shocked.
I am absolutely shocked. And you should have been on last week. I'm very shocked.
Maybe it's a conspiracy by the NFL just to get, it's causing people like us to talk about it, and we're not the only ones. So maybe there's a conspiracy like, hey, Bill, you mind taking a bullet for us real quick because we can have a storyline for 2 weeks? We always talk about how the NFL is a 365-day-a-year sport. And this is one of the ways they do that, right? Yeah. Potentially. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it has to do with a lot of different things, as with everything. It's not about one thing. It's about a couple of different things. But to me, I feel like when you have a good guy, and not that Belichick's not a good guy, but when the guy is like high-fiving and butt slapping to the media and, joking and, doing like just being overly friendly, those guys get in faster. And when you're Bill Belichick, that's like, I don't know. Ask him. Yes.
See, that shouldn't be a factor.
It shouldn't be a factor.
You're right.
But it is.
But it is. We're not in junior high school here.
Yeah, I know.
But listen, when you're playing with the emotions of fallible human beings, right?
In a kid's game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm right with you, Pete. My dad always says this, son, you got to learn to play the game within the game. And that's on every level. That's in every aspect of life. You have to learn to play the game within a game. And obviously the saying of be careful how you treat people because you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know who you're going to need in the future. And so this is a prime example of that, right? If it is the case, oh, he didn't answer my question the way I wanted him to, or he didn't answer my question. So
didn't
now
make my job easy. Yeah. He made my job hard.
He didn't make my job easy for me. So now that I have the opportunity to get back at him, I'm going to take it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's what I think it is. I could be wrong, but that's what I think it is. Right.
I don't think you're far off. I don't. And I know I went back and forth, but I don't think you're off. I don't, because I've heard it being in locker rooms, and even now being in this media space, I hear how media people talk about Bill. I hear it, and I'm like, well, that's not who he is. Like a lot of coaches. So, okay, I got a question. So when Mike Tomlin isn't the best guy to talk to. So are you going to hold him out as well? He's not always giving you a 12-page novel on, the breakdown of the Cleveland Browns and what he's going to do. Sometimes he gives you a one-word answer. Now, he's more personable than Bill.
That's it.
But Tomlin is very direct, straight to the point. And oftentimes you don't get the answer that you're looking for. So again, we can't pick and choose in who we're okay with doing one thing and the other not.
Yeah, it's interesting because look, Jim, we've been in locker rooms and clubhouses, and I've dealt with guys like Belichick before. And I always I'm like, really? That's it? Come on. Be better. Just be better. Like, help us out a little bit. Like, throw us a bone. Right? Now, would that make me not vote for him to get into the Hall of Fame? I don't know. Probably not. I would probably
let me pile on Joe Torre. Okay, I've done this for a really long time. Okay, and Joe Torre, when he was managing, if you're MSG and you're in New York and you're talking to Joe, he's smiling, he's giving you soundbite answers. If you're in Anaheim and you just plunked one of his guys, you just threw a fastball into one of his guys' ribs, and after that, he's giving you one-word answers, arm folded. He's being a jerk. I mean, it's not his job to be nice to me, but I mean, I asked him, I'm like, were they throwing at you guys tonight? Well, it's whatever you want to make it up to be. What is he?
Have I told you my Joe Torre story? Like,
do it.
They were getting ready to go on like a 12-game roadie or something, and it was like a Sunday night, and I think they had lost. And back then, before the press room, we would walk into his office and we would stand right next to his desk. So I was like, arm's length away from him, like just getting his reactions to all the questions and answers. And so I was the first one in the room, last one out, right? And no, they won that game. They scored like 12 runs or something, and they were going on this road trip. And I said, as we were leaving, just trying to be personable, I said, well, I bet you wish you could have taken some of those runs on the road with you. And he looked at me like this and didn't say a word, like didn't acknowledge, didn't say anything. Just like, get out of my office. Like, you are wasting my time with that stupid comment. I was just trying to be friendly. I was like, well, I bet you wish you could take some of those on the road with you. And he was just like, save it. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, he comes off like he's just the greatest guy, like, let's have some pasta fajoule and hang out. Like, again, no, not always. Right?
And this is an LA guy making excuses for a guy from Boston in Bill Belichick. Okay, it's like against my nature. It's against the fiber of my being to stand up and say anything positive about anything from Boston. But I mean, when something is obvious as a Belichick thing, it's just I can't leave it. I can't stand it. It's so ridiculous. There should be a penalty paid. There should be a price to be paid.
All right. Well, you guys, I'm going to skip the test. I'm just going to tell you the answer. The question
you sure? You don't want to do it?
Okay, real quick. What is the Chargers' worst defensive category this past year? What was their worst statistical defensive category?
Not special teams category, huh?
No.
Something.
Worst defensive statistical category.
Broken tackles.
No.
Giving up broken tackles.
No. Kenyon? Final answer, please.
Yeah, I know. What you got?
The answer is fourth down conversions. They gave up 57.1% on fourth down.
That's bad.
That is something that Chris O'Leary will have to focus on undoubtedly. And I'm sure he will. I'm sure he's aware of that, and I'm sure his block disruption will help them improve, along with effort and angles and ball distraction or ball disruption. So I'm excited about what is to come for those guys. But that's going to do it for us today. We are over an hour. We haven't gone an hour in a long time. That's what happens when we start talking about Bill Belichick. So for Jim Daniels and Kenyon Barner, I am Pete Fox. We thank you guys for watching and listening. And most importantly, thanks for the comments. We'll talk again later this week. Have a good one. See ya.